one going to be?
The Seychelles, an island archipelago in the Indian Ocean at the eastern edge of the Somali Sea. For many, it's paradise on Earth. The islands were uninhabited throughout most of recorded history and known by Arab sailors and other navigators centuries ago. The first records date back to the early 1500s, detailed when Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama crossed from India to East Africa with his armada. Expeditions and settlements by Britain and France followed. And after years of war, the archipelago was surrendered to the British in 1810. But self-government was granted in 1975. When Britain announced its intention to give a degree of independence to the colony, James Mancham, who had served as Chief Minister of the Crown Colony and then as Prime Minister, founded the Democratic Party. But another movement, the Seychelles People's United Party, led by Franz Albert René, advocated full independence. And that came in 1976. A coalition government was formed. Mancham became the country's first president, and René the Prime Minister. But just a year later, Mancham was overthrown in a coup d'etat led by René. With Mancham in exile, the People's United Party became the People's Progressive Front and remained the only party in the country until 1991, when René once again allowed a multi-party system. There have been other military coup attempts, but the party René founded still governs the Seychelles to this day. Following René's 27 years of government, James Michel came to power in 2004 and the party changed its name to the People's Party. Michel resigned 12 years later. Power was transferred to his vice president Danny Faure, becoming the fourth president of Seychelles. With a presidential election due to take place later in October, Faure aims to keep his party, now known as the United Seychelles Party, in power. But the opposition seems stronger than ever before. Challenging President Faure, Wavell Ramkalawan from the Linnean Democratic Seychellois coalition, and Alain Saint-Ange from the One Seychelles Party. But with a political establishment that has been in power since 1977, what does Danny Faure have to offer the more than 90,000 people of the Seychelles? The President of the Republic of Seychelles, Danny Faure, talks to Al Jazeera.
Danny Faure, President of Seychelles, thank you very much for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you, Mr. Ghanem, for having me there.
With a population of about 95,000, this is a very small nation. The corona pandemic could have been a real disaster. What measures your government have taken to prevent such disaster from taking place?
The first thing that I did on the 14th of March this year was to really draw a line between my responsibilities and that of the public health team. And we put in place the necessary measures to ensure that we protect the lives of our citizens. And I have not interfered in the work of the medical team. I also hold the portfolio of Minister for Health, and I have made it my responsibility to give them all the necessary support. And as President of the Republic, I got in touch with my peers in the region and within other parts of the world, so as to talk on and find ways of trying to exchange experiences that we have. And by doing so, we got international assistance from China, from India, from the African Union, from the United States of America, from France, and from the European Union altogether.
Over the last 30 years, Seychelles have made quite a big shift from an agriculture-based economy to a tourism-based economy, where tourism is contributing greatly to the economy. In light of the unprecedented corona pandemic, How bad the economy was impacted, and in your estimation, is this going to influence the elections in any way?
No, it has taken Seychelles 50 years for us to reach to the level of economic development, and in particular in the tourism sector. This year would have been one of the best years for my country in economic terms. Last year, for the first time, we had a surplus of 45 million US dollars entering the system. So we have done extremely well. And the coronavirus just hit us like a tsunami. It has badly affected tourism activities. And on the 7th of April, my government presented a revised budget. And in this revised budget, we had two things to deal with. One was to protect jobs, and the other priority was to protect lives. And as I speak, I can say that we have managed to meet these objectives. Through the national budget, we provided financial assistance to many economic entities, and by doing so, 16,000 Seychellois workers continue to receive their salaries. So it was a direct support to the workers in my country.
You don't think that it might influence or impact the elections or the results of the elections?
Basically, what is happening on the ground is that the general population in my country, they show satisfaction to the decision that I have taken as president. These were decisive action on the part of the president, because the first case of coronavirus was reported on the 14th of March. And on the 20th of March, I addressed the Seychellois people, whereby I said what we would need to be doing. And on the 7th of April, we presented a revised budget. So as I speak today, the general population, they are satisfied in the various schemes and projects in terms of financial assistance that we have done. So I don't see any way that the actions will be a negative contributor to the results in this forthcoming general elections.
So we can say that you don't feel unlucky to be in office when this pandemic took place?
Well, what I can say, the last 6 months has been the toughest 6 months of my presidency. And let me be clear here. The seat of the presidency is not an easy seat. It's the most difficult seat. But I have always said to my people, the people of Seychelles, and I've also said that internationally, my concept as a president has always been one at the service of my nation. And as I speak today, I remain the same person that is there to serve the people of Seychelles.
Don't you think it's after the corona pandemic, it's high time now for Seychelles to reconsider being heavily dependent on tourism, and that it should be looking forward to diversifying the source of revenue to the economy?
It took us 50 years to be what we are today and to have the infrastructural development where tourism is concerned. And the Seychellois people who have invested heavily have borrowed to the financial banking system. Mm-hmm. And as president, it's my responsibility to ensure that we don't have a financial crisis that will affect the banking system. So it's not a question of diversification to have results in the next year or two. It's a question of how do you protect the investments that we've done in tourism, whilst also looking at other areas as we open up.
I was just about to ask you, Mr. President, about the blue economy.
It's a concept that we came up with, and we are now considered as a pioneer in this area.
Could you explain to us what do you mean by
No,
blue economy?
we take the benefit of our EZ, which is almost 1.3 million square kilometers. And we say that this is the new untapped opportunity for our country. Mm-hmm. So we look at what do we have in the ocean, how do we protect the ocean, and what sort of resources we have in the ocean. So it is an opportunity for both Seychellois and international investors to come to Seychelles and to look at innovative structures so that we can tap into the potential of the ocean. This is the concept of the blue economy.
We heard that there are good prospects for natural gas and oil, offshore oil, in the economic exclusive zones of Seychelles. How far is this from the truth?
Almost 35 years. We created a Seychelles company with the necessary experts, and they've been working. So the research continues, but however, we focus our attention on fisheries development, on agricultural development, on the development of the ICT, and of course, the development of tourism.
This election, the upcoming election, seems to be a fiercely contested race. Your challenger, Mr. Ram Kalawan, lost the last election by a difference of only 193 votes. In case of losing elections, are both of you willing to concede the defeat?
No, Seychelles is a democracy, and I believe in the rule of law. And as president, I uphold the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution. And I am confident that I will win the election. But in case the people of Seychelles decide otherwise, I'll be the first one to tell the people of Seychelles, look here, I accept the results. This is a democracy, and life needs to continue.
In 2016 elections, the last election opened up the political space. However, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission established thereafter hasn't done much that could be mentioned here in terms of investigating the massive violations of human rights during the reign of former President Albert René. Was this commission set up only for the sake of formality, or as a make-believe kind of thing?
No, on the 16th of October, when I became president, in addressing the people of Seychelles, I said that I stood for national reconciliation and unity, national unity. And I have been speaking about national unity for the last 4 years. So on the 16th of October this year, I would be serving my country for 4 years. And the act that we have today, which creates a national commission looking at issues of the past, was arrived at through discussions, and there has been a bipartisan agreement. But the President of the Republic assented to the act. So we have officially and nationally endorsed this structure. So the commission is independent. The president has nothing to do with the commission. The president does not interfere in the commission. We have done our level best through government to give the commission the necessary resources so that they can do their work independently. And this is what the commission is now doing.
Mr. President, could you explain this paradox that Seychelles achieved the highest per capita GDP in the whole of Africa, whereas poverty still prevails? Is it because of what the opposition describes as inherent, unchecked corruption? Is this the other side of the Seychelles paradise?
The truth is that it has taken us more than 40 years to arrive to these international indicators. And as you have rightly pointed out, today Seychelles is a high-income country and the only high-income country in Africa. And this is due to the hard-working people of Seychelles. The issue of poverty came out in a report that looked at salaries, at income, and it looked at the statistics of the year 2013. And since I became president, we are looking at multidimensional poverty, looking at education, looking at health, looking at habitat. And in the next 2 weeks or 3, I believe that our Bureau of Statistics will come out with a new report. And this has been one of my top priorities in Seychelles in addressing the issues of multidimensional poverty. And I can safely say that my administration has done a lot to reduce the number of citizens that fall within the poverty bracket. In terms of corruption, the corruption index at international level, we are number 27 in the world. We are number 1 in Africa. My stance has been very clear. Zero tolerance to corruption.
Since 1977, the country has introduced a universal social pension, free education, free health care, a lot of services that many other countries, unfortunately, have resigned from. But on the other hand, the country is seeing some of the highest incarceration rates in the world. How do you explain such paradox?
Now, we're a small country. So when you look at per capita, the size of your country and the number of inmates, and one of the issues here has been with the drug situation. And one thing that I changed rapidly when I became president is I decided to treat victims of the drug scourge as a result of addiction. And I said this is a public health issue. And in a way, we relaxed some of the existing laws. And now we have a special program to the methadone that is a health medication to help young people who suffer from this addiction.
In light of the opposition accusations of gerrymandering the elections even before it took place, how do you think this election is going to be midwifed safely?
No, I trust the new Election Commission. There has been accusations in the past. We have worked together with the opposition and our parliament. We now have a newly appointed election commission. The election commission is independent. We have passed new laws in support of their work. I cannot tell you, and I don't think this is correct, that there has been any tricks on the part of the party that I belong to. And as I say, as president, I do not interfere in institutions that we have created. We allow institutions to carry out their mandate. And in this election, the Electoral Commission will continue to do its work. But as I said, it's a new commission. It has received all the support from all parties concerned. And I trust the work of the Electoral Commission.
In 2016, the ruling party won the presidential election and lost the majority in the parliament. Suppose the same scenario happened again. How is it going to play out? Is there going to be a cohabitation between the two parties? the parliamentary and the presidential, or are we going to see a rough wrestling match?
My platform to the people of Seychelles is a new platform. I am presenting, as part of my manifesto, a government of national unity. And for the first time, I have departed from the traditional protocol where the running mate is a card bearer, meaning the person belongs to the party in power. The person that I have chosen as my running mate is not a card bearer of any political party.
Mr. President, considering U.S. domestic and international harsh criticism, your country still opens its territories as a base for U.S. drone attacks, in many cases inflicting casualties among innocent civilians. Does this represent an insurance policy to the national security of Seychelles, or do you think of it a risk or an insurance policy for your national security?
Now, the truth is that before I became president on the 16th of October, the U.S. drones here were used as in support for the piracy. As you know, in 2008, 2009, we had a problem, and this was the scourge of pirates within the Indian Ocean. So that was the help provided by the United States of America. And since 16th of October, there hasn't been any support in this regard in terms of the usage of drones by the U.S. government. And as I speak today, we have good and friendly relations with all governments around the world.
Being a small nation, do you sometimes feel being pressured, cornered politically, just for the mere fact that it's a small country?
Others can see us as small countries, but as Seychelles, we have an equal voice. We are a member of the United Nations. We are a member of the African Union. We are a member of the Indian Ocean Commission. We are a member of SADC. We have equal voice in the international arena, and we are respected by other countries. And our foreign policy has been a very clear one.
Besides the geographical proximity, do you feel African or do you feel Asian, considering the influence, the Sino-Indian influence on the islands?
No, Seychelles is a member of the African Union. We belong to the African continent. But on the 27th of August this year, my country celebrated its 250th anniversary since the first inhabitants came to Seychelles. So this is how we see ourselves. We consider ourselves to be Seychellois.
The Seychellois society represents a mosaic of multi-ethnics. Do you think that the Sino-Indian competition over influencing Seychelles might compromise that harmonious mosaic?
Now, we do everything for us to empower our own Seychellois. We are a friendly nation. We have opened our doors to other nations. Some came almost 200 years ago, and others later on. But they all form part of the society that we have today. And our policy has never been to marginalize any groups in our society. And this is the harmony that we have. And I believe it's the type of society that other countries must and should emulate.
Well, Mr. President, thank you very much for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you.